This is the podcast. Steve and Mark's Unnamed Podcast is live right now, but not live.
Fuck yeah. All right.
Making milestones here, Steve.
Yeah.
We're bringing our own instruments in. We're freaking singing.
It's quality.
Me. Beautiful, dude.
Yeah.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling good.
Yeah. Feeling really good?
I'm feeling very good.
How's your week been since you've been gone?
Well, I can't feel for the first time.
No?
I'm so moving on.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is that more from the song? Because I only know the first part.
Oh, that's still from the song. So
okay, because I couldn't tell. I could tell by the way you were kind of saying it that it was rehearsed or something. I don't know. Yeah, it was rehearsed. It was not your words. So
I'm capable of coming up with poppy songs too.
Do it right now.
I love you, baby, but all I can think about is diabetics. Your butt. Was it diuretics or diabetic? Your butt cheeks is warm.
I think it's Dianetics, not diabetics or diuretics. I think if you're imagining butt cheeks and diuretics, you've got a whole different fetish that I'm not sure anybody's really into.
I mean, check my dipstick. You need lubrication, honey. My kielbasa sausage has just got to perform.
And stop right there. Otherwise, we'll have to pay Tenacious D.
Yes, Jack Black and Kyle Gass. Wonderful guitarists.
They'll come after us. I don't think Kyle Gass has a job other than hanging off Jack Black's nuts.
Hey, man, that's a good gig. I'd do that too if I was bald and can only play guitar and fat. But my week has been good, dude. It's been really freaking busy. Yeah, that's about it. Got to play around with some race cars yesterday, so that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I got a little bit of a tan going on. Apparently standing out in the sun for 8 hours in February is still enough to give you a tan. So
I wouldn't know. I don't tan.
Have you stood out in the sun for 8 hours?
Yeah.
Recently?
If I don't put sunscreen on, I'll just die.
Oh, okay. See, I'm Mexican, so
yeah,
I get a nice little bronzing.
No, I know it's something that hurts me deep down.
Oh, I'm sorry.
If I spend a little bit of time every single day outside, by the end of the summer, I might have 1/10 of the brownness of your pastiest day of your life. And I'll look in the mirror and be like, damn,
I'm
I
looking
look good.
Yeah.
I'm nearly not transparent.
Didn't you have a good tan going on this summer, though, from all the yogging we were doing?
Yeah, a little bit. But
biking.
But like I said, and then, of course, I try to, on the bike rides, wear the tank top so I can kind of try to get rid of the farmer tan a little bit.
Yeah,
because it's, it's strong. Well, it's a gnarly farmer tan. But, yeah, no matter what I do, there's always that line right there where the shirt normally cuts off and the neck line usually
And then you start talking in an accent and the redneck just starts coming out.
Well, more like racist thoughts just keep popping into my head, and just start thinking, less of people.
Nah,
and
it happens.
It's tough.
Yeah, being out in the sun, But I would think with all your blonde hair, just kind of lighten it up a little bit, just make your blue eyes pop out a little more. Steve is very handsome is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, thank you. Anyway,
Anywho, my week was great, man. How was your week?
It was casual, It was very busy at work,
Yeah, did you do an all-nighter at work or something?
Not at. I, took the work home with me and all that. But, we had a pretty crazy deadline. And,
right on.
Part of me just wanting to do design means that I want to come through when it's tough. Otherwise, what's the point?
So designing means doing more work too, right?
Right. Well, I mean, it just means I'm doing that instead, and, I don't know.
What was a deadline for? Is it kind of classified or?
No, it's Well, we got SolidWorks, and this
and
was
you love
boring to everybody. No, I think it's a piece of shit, actually. I mean, I think it does some things
model,
well. Fuck. It does some things well, you know, like sheet metal bending kind of stuff, but it doesn't do complex geometry very easily.
Yeah.
And even simple looking things has still got elements of complex geometry, so, you know.
Yeah, it takes time. What happened to Rhino? I thought you guys were playing around.
Well, our sheet metal manufacturer is kind of retarded, or maybe I shouldn't use that word, but they don't try.
Yeah, they're stuck in their ways, right?
Yeah, and the only thing that can really speed along process and everything like that is for me to model it in SolidWorks so that they can basically get the model, press a button in some software, and hopefully it unfolds perfectly, and then they can just cut it out and bend it without having to think. And that's really the only way we can do stuff like on a limited run.
Yeah.
So if we want to get custom projects, which to me are the most interesting ones and are going to keep me doing cooler and better stuff, more independent from, you know, just the bosses, the higher ups and stuff, you know, where they want to put their input into it because it's like a mainline product. And,
sure.
You know, it's fine. It's like, okay, you've been doing that for, you know, a couple of years, you know, but all these other things they're less invested in, and the busier it is, the more they don't have time to oversee it, so then that naturally transitions into me having more control. So I'm trying to make that happen as much as possible, and to do that, I need to basically work on the terms of the lowest bidder, and that's kind of their terms. So
how'd it turn out? Did you deliver a product? Did you get it done?
Yep.
Yeah, right on.
Sure
man.
did.
Fuck yeah.
So, you know, and I can't exactly say who it's for, but if it comes out, it's going to be a badass part of a really cool architecture tower thing in London.
Ooh.
So
that reduces the possibilities of who it could be.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not exact.
Piano, Norman Foster.
No, none of those.
Zaha.
No, it's not a big name. You know, it's not one that if I floated out there, anybody would really know. But the thing is we're doing this work, but we don't really have a contract yet.
Yeah.
So
cool.
Yeah.
Right on, man. Sounds like a good week.
Yeah. But I asked you about your week mostly because I saw a tweet that got me a little concerned.
Okay.
It was something to the effect of, you know, giving clothes back is like the new breakup or something like that.
Yeah, what do you think about that? It seems like...
I don't know.
You know, breaking up used to be like very kind of formal and really...
Well, what do you mean breaking up like this is my girlfriend and I'm breaking up kind of thing?
I think the tweet was more kind of a reflective and kind of a satire on today's ambiguity when it comes to the world of dating and relationships, and how maybe in my mind and how I was trained by, you know, the media and the experiences that I've had, that breaking up was kind of something that you wanted to do, you know, face to face, and you wanted to be respectful of the other person as you were doing it. I know that a lot of times you're like, well, I'll just fucking send him a text message or an email or something like that. You know, that's kind of how technology has made us a little bit less more faceless.
See, in my mind, I think it's just that it's always been sort of like that, but I think just you have to become jaded.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of one of those things where, you know, relationships, especially, you know, really don't mean as much until you put a lot into them, you know, like they're basically, they only matter as much as like the effort you put into them over time. So, you know, in so much as, you know, if you don't put a lot of effort into it, then yeah, the breakup is just kind of like, here's your shit, see ya, you know, like, and it may not even really be like a confrontation. It's just kind of like, yeah, I'll see you around.
Yeah.
And then, you know, moving on.
Yeah.
And I don't really think there's anything wrong with that. I think it's just kind of one of those things where, you know, if you're busy and it's just like, whatever, I don't really care, and it's not really that big a thing, like neither of us have invested a lot into it, who needs to cause conflict or whatever. And, you know, of course, if one person's just like really broken up about the breakup, then, it begs a question, it begs a conversation, or it forces a conversation. But I think for the most part, it's just kind of like, meh.
Yeah, and that's how it is. But
did you give clothes back, or did someone else give clothes back to you?
Well, I'm not that I even broke up with anyone. I wasn't dating anyone. Right. But I just got my jacket back. It was
Which jacket?
My leather jacket. That jacket means a lot.
I can't believe you would leave that anywhere.
Me neither.
That to me is almost like you were just like shoving your foot in a door.
Exactly. I've had girls do that to me. They're like, I left my contact solution at your house, and I'm like,
here's $2. Go buy some.
Exactly. I left $2 in the mailbox. Just reach in and grab that.
What you can't use tap water? I've heard that happens. So.
I have. It's just salt and water, right?
I think that's what tears are made of. Why don't you go cry about it?
As we all know from podcast 2, I'm really good at being an asshole.
I think you might not be as good at being an asshole as me, but I think that you let it out a little easier.
Yeah, because I get to that certain point where I just don't. No, sorry.
You don't have to take it out on the microphone.
Microphone, fuck you. No, there wasn't any breakup or anything really, and to my knowledge, it's still very casual, and I'm not really worried about it. So,
cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, weather is getting warmer. Maybe she's just like, you might want to put this jacket somewhere before something happens to it.
No, sure.
Or whatever.
But you know how it goes. You just kind of leave in the middle of the night and, hey, fuck, where's my jacket? God damn it.
So, that never happens. See, I'm more like a ninja. Like, you won't even know when I disappear, and I will leave no trace behind. Yeah. Like, I'll even like kind of like tidy up like anything that I might have.
Do
like,
her dishes
moved. No, just like zero trace. It's like, oh, I drank out of that cup. I'm gonna like wash it, put it back.
Yeah.
And it'll be like,
you fix your footprints on the
carpet. You rake it out. Just kind of
clean off your fingerprints from.
Oh, definitely. You always want to get rid of fingerprints and anything like that. So then it's just kind of like maybe one wake up in the morning like, did I dream that? Because there's literally no trace.
Yeah. I think I just dreamed that. Whoa, Steve. So what do you mean? I had a dream about you the other night. Are you saying that was reality?
It's because I'm in love with your butt. Speaking of loving butts, I was reading a thing, and I don't know if we ever touched on this or not. I kind of already forget, but so there was a guy in New Mexico. Did you read about this where he got stopped by the police and like the canine was barking at his butt and well, not exactly that, but he let's see, where was it? He got cavity searched. Like, they got a warrant and they searched his cavity based on a dog saying, he's got drugs or something like that.
Sure.
They took him to a hospital, and the first hospital, they flat out denied it. The doctors were just like, no. Like, based on the evidence, I'm not doing that, even with your warrant, because that breaches my ethics, because this is weak at best.
Sounds like a cool doctor.
Yeah. Well, they took him to another hospital, and they were like, sure. And let's see, they...
nothing interesting's happened tonight.
Yeah, they let's see. I'm trying to see if this... They did some x-rays. The x-rays showed nothing. 2 digital probes of his anus. Nothing. 3 enemas. Nothing. A colonoscopy. Nothing. And then, I think the colonoscopy was a surgical procedure. It wasn't just like...
No, that's a camera up your asshole.
Well, yeah, but I don't know. At some point, I believe they did like some surgery, or they were going to, or whatever.
Dude, what's up with these people, these police officers punishing this guy's
asshole? Yeah, and you know what he did? He rolled through a stop sign, and then he looked nervous. And then the dog got him, or said like, oh yeah, he's got it. So then, so then he, where was it here? Okay. So then, he got a bill from the hospital for the procedures, $6,000, which, for that many procedures is, not too much. And,
yeah, I guess so.
I mean, hospitals just fuck you. But so then all that happened and stuff. So he sued naturally, and fucking he should.
Yeah.
And
you got the verdict up, or?
Well, they settled out of court. Mm-hmm. So for, the embarrassment, the outrage, being victimized like that, basically raped.
Yeah.
By doctors and law enforcement officials, basically everybody involved, even a dog.
Yeah.
Is kind of involved.
That's a free porno.
How much money would it take for you to feel better about that? How much would you settle for?
See, I don't think you could ever feel better about that because your asshole is wrecked after that. Like, if you have all those procedures over the span of like a year, no big deal.
I don't think.
But if it's like 3 fingers up the butt,
I think everything is
X-rays, probes, fucking enemas, and laxatives too. No laxatives.
No, I don't think so. They just did the enema.
But the thing is, gonna fuck up your night.
Well, yeah.
And it'll fuck up, it'll fuck up the next day.
Probably. But, butts are pretty elastic. I doubt has any long-term damage physically.
Yeah.
I imagine emotionally that's a different story.
Well, I'd want to set a high bar, so I'd probably try to go for 250 G's. 250
G's?
Yeah.
For all that?
Yeah.
That'd make it better for you?
Sure, why not?
Shit, man. All of that.
Yeah.
Your civil rights violated.
Dude, you never
your
have
anus
civil rights anyways.
Violated. And all you want is 200 G's?
Sure, why not?
Wow. Well, he settled out of court for $1.6 million.
Wow.
And I personally think that that's not enough.
Wow.
Because
lowballing my asshole here.
Yeah, seriously. I guess you're a cheap date.
What can I say?
So,
give me a little attention and a drink or two, and you can go all the way.
Right? Well, and it's just, to me...
So, Albuquerque, huh?
No, it was in Deming or some shithole.
New Mexico.
Yeah, some piece of shit place, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I mean, I think that I would want to send a message to that police force. I'd be like, guess what? You are not getting a new police car for the next 20 years.
No one's getting raises.
Nobody's getting anything. All those police officers, they should be going to jail for violating, the law.
Sure. Well, it's just
definitely
excessive.
definitely losing their jobs.
Yeah.
And I think that dog should be put down.
Yeah.
No, wow. Maybe not. I think actually, because they've done so many studies about the officers, if they get kind of a weird feeling, dogs are empathic, so they'll come up or they're sympathetic, to their handlers and things like that. So if you're acting a little weird, even if it's just kind of just very minute, the dogs are really good at picking up on that. So then they'll cause a false positive on an alert.
And
so
maybe he just ate some bad Mexican food or something.
Yeah. Well, and they were he was standing with his legs close together. It's like, well, fuck you, dude. That's how I stand. All right, cowboy.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't straddle a horse all day, dick. So I don't know. I would try to sue that police department into bankruptcy and then some.
Dude, that's
and actually, I'd probably also take it all the way to court so that there could be a ruling on it, so that it could limit their powers in the future to do such things.
Well,
but I'm also very vindictive.
Yeah, you are. Especially when it comes to your asshole.
Well, especially when it comes to authority overstepping their bounds, because I think there's reasons that you need limitations on power.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really that's the only problem in this world, is some people have way too much power and other people don't have any. And I think that especially with police, they get a little chip on their shoulder and then they think that they can get away with whatever they want. And I will say that every interaction with the police that I've had is great, but it also happens to be that I happen to be a very white male, as you noticed, and I don't look up to trouble. Yeah. So, they always give me the benefit of the doubt. They're always willing to talk it out with me. They're always willing to give me a chance. And usually, I'm doing...
And I get a feeling that you put on a performance for them, too.
What do you mean?
Well, officer, I don't know, you probably just get yourself all... I don't know if you get yourself teary-eyed.
Oh, hell no, no. Oh, yeah, right.
Oh, my
that wouldn't
God,
work
officer,
at all.
I just got away from this massive, crime scene. There was a bunch of black people chasing me, asking me for the watermelon.
They don't want to hear that shit. So here is my guide to not getting speeding tickets or getting in trouble with the police.
All right.
Ready?
Yeah.
Walk up to them like you did nothing wrong. If they, in the case of say you're speeding and they pull you over, this is what you do.
Squeeze your tits together?
Nope. You go say something to the, it's got to be situational. You got to think on your feet. But say, you come around a corner and he's just waiting there. Laser radar gun you.
Yeah.
All you do when they come up and they say, license, registration. Of course, you have the stuff ready. You make sure to, like, if you have sunglasses on, you take them off. If you have a hat, maybe even push it back or take it off. Put it up on the dash. Be very accommodating to what they want to see.
Yeah.
Don't be reaching around for your license and registration until they ask for it, because that makes them uncomfortable. Have your windows down.
Have your
definitely
seatbelt on.
Music off. Well, yeah. But if you don't have it on, if you need to put it on immediately so that as you're pulling over, very slyly, because once you've pulled over, they can see, they're looking for that, whatever. Anyway, then when they ask you, do you know why you pulled it over, and you immediately just admit to it.
Yep.
You don't try to be like, oh, I was going a little fast. Just say something, like the last one that I can really remember where I actually got pulled over and they let me out. I just said, oh, I didn't even realize how fast I was going until I saw you. And then and then I was like, oh, and I hit the brakes immediately. And then they're like, yeah, and then I've just, try to be nice to them. Like everybody gets angry.
Yeah.
And that's the last thing they want. If you're just like, oh, I'm so sorry, genuinely, being friendly, maybe if you can, slip in a little joke here and there. And it doesn't help, or it doesn't hurt to make them kind of feel like the man.
Of course.
Like this same instance that I'm thinking about, he said something about football to my girlfriend who was in the car at the time, and I was just like, oh, I don't really watch football. And he's like, says to her, like, what are you doing with this guy or whatever? And I was like, oh, I know, like,
I'm the pussy.
Yeah, I'm such a bitch. So just kind of play along, and then the case of maybe doing anything where you're being somewhere you shouldn't, just act like you had no idea that's not okay.
Yeah.
But also don't avoid them. And if they say, you're not supposed to be here, oh, I'm so sorry, like, let me get out of here immediately. Like, don't be like, well, I'll be just a second, or, like.
Well, I think it takes a certain personality type to want to be in that position of power.
Yeah.
And even how these police officers were just kind of dicking around and bullying that guy, they're in fucking Deming, man. How much shit do they have to do besides chase immigrants coming across the border? And,
No.
The occasional shipment of meth or something that makes its way across town. Ooh. But I totally agree. They are in this position of power, and, you have to consider them to be the bullies that you've always encountered in middle school and high school, so...
I mean,
they definitely you got to stroke them the right way. And, being, oh, man, officer, you caught me red-handed. I was going 55 and a 45. Damn it.
Yeah.
Like, totally appealing to their position.
Yeah.
And, just being submissive. Not totally submissive, but, giving them the acknowledgement that you consider them as being in that position of power.
Yeah.
And, I try not to get pulled over.
Well, I haven't been pulled over in a long time. You try to read the situation. Yeah, right.
Knock on wood.
Try to read the situation and just kind of figure out. Because, there are those cops for sure. And I think in small towns it's more common, oddly enough. But there are, a lot of cops who genuinely just think that it's like, that'll be a good job. I'll help people. It's
more like, I got my girlfriend pregnant. Fuck.
That's a dangerous individual. Those are the kind of people that have a gripe with the world and they're angry and, they're not doing it to make the world a better place. They're doing it just because they kind of need to.
It's a means to an end.
Yeah, and then, they're the type that are susceptible to...
Fuck, I didn't make the Marines or the Army.
Yeah.
Shit.
They felt I was imbalanced.
I'm going to go join the deputy department. Not the sheriffs, the deputies. I don't know if there's a difference or not.
I think it's just nomenclature for size of areas. I think deputies are like local, they're like based in a city, but then they have kind of like jurisdiction beyond the incorporated area of it.
Wow. Today I learned.
I just made that up though.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Just go with it.
I'm just thinking that maybe that's what it is. Anywho, there's a massive black hole.
In your mind?
No, I don't know. No, there's a I keep reading this story in a bunch of different places about there being a giant canyon bigger than the Grand Canyon in Antarctica under like a couple miles of ice.
Yeah.
And my thought is, who gives a shit? Your thoughts?
Actually, I was looking at some article that's not too different from that. It was a really cool little infographic cartoon that was talking about lakes and how they compare to oceans and the very bottom parts of the ocean, the trenches and the Mariana Trench.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of cool, to tell you the truth. Ice is the main contributor to shaping geological features. Besides the Colorado River and everything. But during the last ice age...
What about plate tectonics?
During the last ice age, the Great Lakes were formed from giant ice, receding and coming. And then that water that's deposited is from the ice that got left behind. I want to say that Great Salt Lake was formed the same way, but I'm not totally sure. But yes, plate tectonics is very important.
I thought Joseph Smith just cried the entire Great Lakes in one afternoon.
I think it was like 2 days. Oh. And I think that's right. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
Because, the salty tears and...
Yeah.
It's just such a beautiful message that it just overcame with emotion.
Right.
And just filled up that big ass fucking thing. How deep is the canyon in Antarctica? Is there any stats?
Yeah, it's like 200 miles long, 15 miles wide, and I forget how deep. But it's deeper.
But it's comparable to the...
It's bigger than the Grand Canyon.
Okay. So the Grand Canyon isn't that grand. How many miles or feet of ice is it underneath?
I don't know.
Oh.
A couple.
Couple? At least 3 or 4?
I'm going to say more than 1, probably less than 5.
Miles?
Yeah.
Cool.
Otherwise, that's just that's a lot of ice.
Well, it's just cool that we are still discovering things about our planet,
Yeah. And that's kind of the thing, though. It's just like, what...
and like we have
why haven't we figured it out yet? It seems
just
like
so vast still. Like we could have all the fucking radar and sonar going on, but we still can't see everything. Part of that little infographic that I was looking at was that sperm whales dive down really deep into these giant trenches, and they come back with like markings and wounds all over their body. So what do you think is down there?
Other sperm whales with the attitude?
I was going to go with giant squid,
but
yeah.
I mean, couldn't it just be that? Like, they're the one. No, they're not the ones with the horns. That's a narwhal or something, right? Isn't there a? I don't know. I thought for a second maybe sperm whales don't have big horns, do they?
No, they're fucking huge. The narwhal, I don't know.
Sperm whales are the ones with the funny little mouths.
Yeah,
though.
It's like
they have like a weird hingy mouth.
Yeah, and it's like they have like fucked up teeth that's just like fused as one giant tooth.
Yeah.
I don't know why they call them sperm whales. Maybe there's a bunch of sperm.
I think because they're full of testosterone. That's why they're so angry. They fight each other.
They're all gay.
They go down to trenches and just fight it out, and what happens in the depths of the ocean stays in the depths of the ocean.
Fair enough. So yeah, I like learning about shit.
Yeah.
Learning about
well, how about
planet.
this? Consensual sadomasochism may actually lead to altered states of consciousness. And not in the way you'd think, like unconsciousness, like where
Well, it makes me think
out.
of like sensory deprivation chambers and all that stuff. Like you just kind of...
Have you ever done that?
Tripping. No, I've never done that. I've smoked DMT.
Yeah.
I should say cryo.
Yeah. The sensory deprivation thing, I gotta say, not for me.
Yeah, did you do it?
Yeah.
What do you do? Just lock yourself in a room, or
no.
Put your head in a box or something?
No,
like a cat that just can't get out.
Like, no, there's this like these places. I don't know if there's one in Albuquerque, but basically you get into like some spas and stuff have them, but you get into this like basically it's coffin. Like a big coffin, yeah. And it blocks out sound and light and everything like that, and then you get into this kind of like salty water that you float really easily in, and it's just like body temperature. So essentially you're supposed to just kind of like lie there still and everything. But the thing is like it's kind of so quiet in there, you can like hear your own heartbeat. It's like boom, 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 and you're kind of like aware of your surroundings still, because like you'll kind of just like float into the side of it, just like boom, and you'll like it's just, I don't know.
So what's it for? Just to kind of block out your stressful life of
I mean, I think
running away from the cops, and
I think that it's one of those things that if it sounds appealing to you, that it'll probably be good to you. I just kind of did it, and I don't know. I don't think it's really
was it
for
your
me.
Flavor?
No, because like I mean, I can think of the most sensory deprived experience that was actually meaningful to me. It was like on this like cave exploration thing, where some geologists and people would take small groups deep into these caves and whatever, and at one point they'll just turn out all the lights and everybody just shh, and you're so deep and there's just absolutely no light, no sound, anything like that. And they'll do that for like 10 minutes or something like that.
So it's not like completely sensory deprivation, You still.
Well, that was more sensory depriving than the float tank.
Yeah, because the float tank, you could still have the sensation of the water, the fluid.
Well, but it's I mean, it's like body temperature, so it you don't really feel warm, you don't really feel cold. You're just kind of like there
until you take a piss.
But that's strongly discouraged.
Oh, fuck that.
You're a bad hippie.
Yep, I am a bad hippie. I only do it for all the benefits and none of the work. But hippies don't work anyway. But I've actually been in some caves, and I don't know, man. Like, I think I was maybe a senior in high school, and we ditched class to go caving somewhere. And those were the days where I'd go with my buddy, and we'd smoke shit tons of weed and drink beers on the way over there, and then find our way in some cave and crawl all the way back there with like nothing but like cell phones and pocket flashlights. So we weren't really prepared, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. And we made it to a part where it was really hard to maneuver, and you had to like kind of squeeze your body through these two rocks to make it through the other.
What cave are you talking?
I don't remember where it's at, man. Like I said, we smoked a lot of weed and shit. I don't know if it was out in Jemez or somewhere in the East Mountains.
Huh.
But I forget where it was.
Yeah, I don't.
Does it sound familiar at all to you? I know you're kind of a hoodlum and you've done a lot of weird shit.
No. I mean, the only cave that I can really think of near Albuquerque is like the man cave and stuff, but
yeah, I'm not familiar with that one.
Huh.
But just fitting your body between these two rocks and having the your friends, a couple turns behind you, you're just all alone, and you feel the massiveness of the earth, and you feel the ominous feeling of these rocks and the cool temperature, and there's no light. You can slowly start to feel all the dirt that you're breathing in, so you feel as if you could stop breathing and begin to suffocate. So it's really
and then the roof breaks and you're stuck. No, that's one thing that I was going through a cave. The only time I've ever really felt claustrophobic in my entire life was I was like going, well, and I mean real claustrophobia. Yeah. Like if I get stuck, I'm
that's
freaked
totally
the fuck
the right
out.
Word.
Not like where I get uncomfortable around like too many people,
mm-hmm.
but I was crawling through, and it was like a U shape. It was kind of like the trap in a sink, I felt like.
Yeah.
But all out of rock, and it was just barely able to squeeze through. And I was just thinking,
is this
like,
the man cave that you're talking about?
No, this is like some other. I can't remember the name of it. It might have been called Spider Cave or something.
Okay.
Like that. Anyway, I was just thinking, like, if I get stuck here, and nobody can pull me out, I'm so fucked.
Yeah.
Because, like, there is literally hundreds of feet of rock above me, and I'm going to be here forever. I'll die right here.
And that slight second that you just spend thinking about that
yep.
is enough to just overwhelm you with, like, oh, my
well, you know, I mean, luckily I'm not. I think if I were a claustrophobic person, then that would have been just, it would have sent me over the edge. But instead I just kind of got like a glimpse into the mind of that person that, like, the airplane door closes and they're just like,
keep it together.
Oh my God. Yeah. And they start losing their shit.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but that's scary.
I'd like to kind of do that more. You know, it's a cool but scary sensation. It's the adrenaline junkie in me, I guess. You know.
Yeah.
Just like that same fear that you have when you stand at the edge of a cliff and you're about to jump in. You're like, oh my God, am I gonna do this?
Yeah. See, and I'd rather, you know, there's no, like, moment like that is really physically intimidating to me, you know, like, you know, you jump off a cliff and you hit a rock, or, you know, something unforeseen happens.
Yeah.
You're in deep shit. Whereas with the cave, it's kind of like, everything's fine until, like, I always imagine this scenario where you go way in there, you do your thing, and then you go to come out and the entrance is blocked by a rock, and you're just like, shit.
Yeah. Did I take a wrong turn?
Oh yeah, or you go in there and you get lost.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's easy to freak out. No, dude. Like, the thing is, as you were describing, like, I started thinking about snowboarding. You know, one of the hardest thing for me is the whole idea of looking before you leap. You know, a lot of times you just leap and you'll figure it out as you go, and that's how it is, and it's mostly just fine. You know. So your situational awareness is always being tested. Whereas if you're in a cave or some new place that you haven't experienced before, the thing that you're fighting and going against is yourself and your own mind. So I think psychology is really quite fascinating. I think I've said it before.
But for me, though, with the depths of a cave, I always think of it like, on geologic terms, like, nothing has touched this area potentially forever.
Yeah.
You know, so, and the earth is always shifting, and cave-ins are, you know, a thing that happens, but maybe, you know, you're going in there and there's just been a piece of rock just waiting eons to fall, and all it needs is just a little bink, and it's all going to come crashing down.
Yeah.
And
your heartbeat is at the resonating frequency.
Yeah, right.
The cave, and only yours.
And I'm just thinking, like, man, what if I just touch the wrong thing and then just...
See, these are the thoughts that you can't have as you're in the cave.
Yeah.
You got to just like, oh, no, that's cool. Oh, look at those. That rock looks like a penis.
Yeah, right? I mean, well, and I can totally do that when it's been, like, thoroughly explored and walked through, because I know that that's not going to happen. But if it's kind of a part where it's just like, hey, you know, nobody really goes in here.
So if we come up with some awesome fusion technology, and we're able to,
like, energy, yeah,
and we're able to explore the stars, and you know, we're no longer bounded by energy. We find some awesome asteroid that has everything that you're looking for, Steve, and they want to send you to be the first explorer on it.
Sure.
There's a bunch of caves, there's a bunch of canyons, really jagged landscape. Semi-breathable air, which is weird. It has a little bit of an atmosphere, so you don't need to have, like, a spacesuit, but you can't spend, like, hours and hours out, you know. So, would you go out and explore? Would you accept the mission?
Well, you said it has everything I'm looking for. What are these things that I'm looking for?
It's got booze, bitches, and architecture on it, all right?
Wow. Then,
You'd explore it?
Yeah, I would definitely go. And, I mean, I don't think that my fear of a cave-in or whatever is so overwhelming that I couldn't get over it. But the thing is just, I have these thoughts, and I don't have any background in geology or any of that, so I don't really know if they're rational fears or irrational fears. In my mind, they're completely valid, so I would need to, I guess, know more about it to make an educated decision.
Yep.
You know, because that's the thing is, I could totally learn enough where I'd look at the rock formation. I'd be like, oh, well, this is, this kind of decomposed, blah, 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 blah.
Stalactites.
Metamorphic stalactites and
granite, sandstone.
Yeah. And then I'd be able to make a educated risk assessment.
Sure.
But right now, I just assume that everything's hot lava. Just don't touch it.
Don't touch it. So what are you afraid of, Steve? What fears do you have that you're willing to share with the world?
I'm afraid of being alone.
Fair enough.
Actually, sort of. Not really. I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, I like being alone, but I don't think that I've ever really been alone.
Yeah.
So I guess I'd be afraid of being alone. Like, have you ever seen the movie Moon?
Nope.
Okay, so this guy, he's like a moon miner.
Okay.
And he lives on the moon.
Kind of like your asteroid
alone.
Experience.
Yeah, but less so. Like, I don't know. There's something on the moon. I think it's like they use it as an energy source on Earth. I don't know what it is, but basically, like, one dude's work can run the planet for, whatever, and he's got like a contract, but he's got to be up there all alone, and then, shit goes wrong and stuff, and he realizes how alone he is, and I believe he's some sort of a clone or something. I don't know. I kind of forget how it goes. Movie. But yeah, it's really good, even though I can't remember exactly how it goes. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but it's shot really beautifully, mostly. Yeah, like some situation like that where I'm just alone. There's nobody to really talk to, no intimacy or anything like that between people. Like, that would be terrifying.
You think you develop your own kind of Wilson from Castaway? Or?
I mean, I already kind of do those sort of things.
I like how you look over at your wolf puppy type. I'm like, what kind of relationship goes on there?
I mean, I already like kind of talk to myself a lot and kind of give like certain objects almost like a personality in my mind and stuff like that. So I think it would definitely be like that, but I think at a certain point, I would reach like a breaking point where that just wouldn't be enough, and I would start to get worse and worse and worse, and I think it'd be an exponential decay of mental health.
Yeah.
And eventually I would just become completely insane, and I'd probably do something incredibly irrational.
Eating your feces and...
No, I don't think like that, but, like if I was like Space Miner guy, I'd be like, I'm going to ramp this fucking rig, or, I don't know. Like,
take that, Earth, here's your fucking
energy. Like, fuck you for leaving me alone. Like I'd probably snap and go crazy like that or something.
Makes me kind of think of... Castaway, obviously, and then 2001: Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Mm-hmm.
And you were saying that this movie is beautifully shot. 2001.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of parallels to 2001. He even has like a robot guy that he talks to and stuff.
Hal.
Yeah, I think he's got a different name. I don't remember.
Oh, Moon, and it's a little smiley face?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen it, but I've seen like trailers and stuff like that.
Yeah, dude, check it out.
My programming teacher was actually talking about that movie.
Yeah.
I think his topic was programming personality into software. So.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a more charismatic Hal than Hal was, but nowhere near as personality kind of as her.
Him.
Her.
Hal?
Did you see that movie? Her?
No. Did you watch it?
Yeah.
Yeah? How was it?
It was really good.
I wanted to watch it. I think Joaquin Phoenix is pretty awesome. Joaquin.
Yeah.
And it looked great. It just kind of resonated a lot with me because I was kind of lonely.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's definitely a lonely movie. Like you'll see it and be like, that's kind of like the breakup I had one time.
Oh.
Something stupid like that.
Yeah.
But
The Life Changer.
I don't know, but it is a very good movie.
What did Rotten Tomatoes give it?
I don't know. I don't really care about Rotten Tomatoes.
What did the Prior give it?
I mean,
what is it on the Prior scale?
I would give it a 10 out of 10 simply because there's nothing wrong with it in my mind. And you know how I poke holes in everything, especially movie-wise.
So if you don't like the movies that I like, does that mean I'm not going to like the movies that you like?
What movies do you like that I don't like?
Pacific Rim and Lord of the Ring or The Hobbit.
Okay, well, I thought the Lord of the Ring movies were okay. I just didn't like the newest one, the Smaug and the other one.
Those are the
before
Hobbit.
that. The Hobbit and Smogginess or something. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 94.
Right on.
So I mean, I would give it, a 10 out of 10 essentially, because it essentially had everything.
Yeah.
It was shot well. I think they put like a realistic kind of feeling to the future. There were just like little moments and actions in it that really played up that it's like, yeah, this is the future, but they didn't like beat you over the head with it. And there were kind of some parts that were, usually like I don't want to spoil much for you, but like his job is that he writes like
code.
No, like heartfelt
okay.
letters and stuff. Like you sign up for,
but
you go to this
web. Does a computer program like scan his literature that he writes and then kind of adapts to?
I mean, it does. Yeah, it looks through all his shit.
That's
and
very manipulative software, man.
No, it definitely is.
But it's how's that different from some person being interested in you and digging through your online activity?
I mean, exactly. It's just learning about you. So, and ideally, a computer program could just be programmed to like you, or just at the very least not judge you in a negative way. So,
what do you think about that?
What do you mean?
Like, what do you think about the moral and ethical implications about something like that? Is it something that we have evolved to and deserve?
I think the thing is when it comes to the morality of it, I don't think it has anything to do with the computer. It has everything to do with who's getting what from whom. So as the consumer of that product, the publisher, the producer, whatever, the maker, the author, they want something from you beyond that initial sale. Is just kind of, that's the model for technology and everything now. It's not just like, it's not like you just buy it, and all businesses are trying to do this. It's not just you buy it and see you later. It's okay, we want your information, we want to gather all this stuff. So the natural conflict is if this program was meant to learn about you and find out about you, is it reporting back to these people?
Yeah.
And that is where the problem happens, because it's great if it learns all about you and stuff. And then also, of course, security, because again, malicious people trying to get that valuable information. So I think the more it knows about you, the easier it becomes to steal your identity, mess with your shit, and everything.
Well, the whole identity theft aside, I'm talking more about the emotional manipulation that it has on you.
What do you
mean? A computer program that is able to mold itself in a way so that it likes you and you like it. And a computer is like, to what extent can it really have emotions? Just because...
I think you just need to see this movie.
See, I don't... It scares me, because I think it's something that we're going to start seeing as time progresses. It's either something that is occurring, just has started to occur.
I mean, I don't know.
It's actually kind of depressing, to tell you the truth. There's times when I love my computer, and not to the same extent of being in this kind of like lust and
you don't love it, you just like it.
Okay. Yeah, and I don't know, man, it scares me, to tell you the truth. Like, how do you control yourself from, all right, this is just a computer, I can't be like feeling all these emotions for it and allowing myself to be swept off my feet just because this program is telling me everything that I like and is matching and syncing its personality with mine, or it's creating a personality that is a derivative of mine.
What's really great, though, is the movie doesn't do that. It's you have to see it. Yeah. I mean, again, like I said, it's really well done. Like the concept could have gone wrong.
Yeah.
from from go. It could have been, there were so many opportunities for it to just fall apart and be a shitty movie. And I think from beginning to end, it was executed flawlessly. Right. And I don't know. I mean, you kind of have to see it. I don't want to ruin more of it, but I mean, it's definitely, I would say it's the best movie I've seen in a long time.
Since Pacific Rim?
Yeah, since Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I didn't hate Pacific Rim. It's just there's so much shit to make fun of about it. And the acting was so ridiculous, and their choice of actors was ridiculous.
All right, we're not going to get into it.
I mean, I think it was a thoroughly entertaining movie, but there was a lot of stuff where I was just like, oh, come on, why would you do that? You're like purposely taking me out of the movie.
Yeah.
Like I when I get into a movie, the best thing for a movie to do is to engage me, and I'm totally engaged and engrossed in the story, in that world, and I never pop out of it.
Yeah.
Whether it's because it's like, gosh, how long has this movie been on? I'm bored. Or why the fuck is Charlie a scientist in this? It's Charlie from, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Yeah. Like he can't be that guy or whatever, even though his character in it was more memorable and actually kind of appealing. I liked his character in it, but it was still like, when he appeared on screen, I was just like, what the fuck? What's Charlie doing? He should be back in the bar.
Yeah, I heard you. I heard you when we were watching it. Yeah. But that's one thing that I absolutely hate about movies, like you said, when you pop out of it.
Yeah.
You start looking at your watch or something. You're like, God, what time is it? Fuck that.
Yeah, right.
Like, I enjoy that kind of tunnel vision that comes over you when you're in the movie theater, and you just block everything out, and you're just in that moment with those actors.
Yeah, and that's a sign of a good movie. I mean, whenever if I'm never bored, and when it's over, I'm like, I could sit through more of that for sure. Even though like some movies, when they're over, it's just like, for example, Her. When it was over, it was just like, that was a complete story. Like it, from beginning to end, it told a whole story, and the ending was great. Like it left things just where they should be. It wasn't there was nothing really cheesy about the movie, which could have easily happened in so many ways. And
who was the director? Was it like Spike
Jones?
Yeah, he's a good one.
Yeah, he's really good, and I think this is definitely his best movie. He does a lot of short films and stuff that are pretty cool, but
I'm really looking forward to I forget the name. It's like the Hotel something, but it's the same director from The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, and
love that movie.
The Royal Tenenbaums. It just looks awesome, man. You need to look it up. Wes Anderson is the director.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's got Bill Murray in it, of course. Owen Wilson, his typical cast that he always has in his movies. And it looks freaking awesome. Should play the trailer. What's it called? Hotel...
Oh, I know what you're talking about now. It's like, the one that's like a hotel in India or some shit like that.
Yeah. What's it called?
I don't know. It's not on here. Wes Anderson's a funny looking dude. He looks like he thinks he's a vampire.
That was a chick.
No. The Grand Budapest Hotel? I thought it was called something else.
The Grand Budapest Hotel.
There's got to be a
When's it come out? Is it April or early summer?
Doesn't say.
Meh. You need to watch the trailer. It's freaking awesome.
So
when you got your free time.
I forget what. No, I've seen a couple previews for it. I watch a lot of movies these days.
Yeah, looks
like
it.
Getting back to what got us there somehow. What are you afraid of?
I'm afraid of being alone. I'm afraid of a lot of things, to tell you the truth.
Really?
So the typical fears. Afraid of public speaking.
See, I'm not so much afraid of it as I just don't like it. Like if I'm an authority on something, doesn't bother me at all. It's just like I think it's that I despise people who just talk out of their ass and make not even like make things up, but, talk about things that they don't really have the clout to be talking about. So I never want to be that person.
I feel like it's 90% of my podcast material.
Oh yeah, well, but the thing is what's good about this is like nobody's asking for it, so it's take it or leave it. Like I could give a shit. But when it comes to, hey, would you talk to these people or whatever, unless I really know, because I talk to clients and have meetings and stuff all the time where I'm talking to anywhere from 5 to 30 people, and I'm just completely comfortable with that because I have the authority in that situation. Like I do what I do, and I'm not overstepping my expertise or whatever.
Yeah.
Because opinions are one thing, because I'll give it, and that's what this is just opinions all day. Nobody is an authority when it comes to opinion.
But a lot of times it's just the own pressure that I put on myself to be a good communicator, to engage my audience, and while delivering the point, and while being entertaining and being charismatic. So I think I fear it because I put all this pressure on myself to do it effectively because I'm so critical of everyone else.
Yeah.
No, so I put
absolutely.
that same. I try to hold myself to the same standard, and a lot of times I kind of just like end up psyching myself out, and then I start hearing my voice crack. I'm like, oh, okay, just make the point. Okay, I'm done.
Oh yeah, yeah. Once you fall into that kind of like hole of like, this isn't going well,
it just snowballs
immediately. That's the worst.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've gotten pretty good at trusting myself to be able to come up with the next thing to say and being able to engage everyone. A lot of people get awkwarded out. I don't know if that's a phrase. Like,
probably not.
They feel awkward very easily.
Yeah.
And I've never been a person to feel awkward, but I could still kind of feel that weird buildup of tension.
Yeah.
So
I think for me it could be a performance thing too. Like in architecture school, when we'd have to give our presentations.
Yeah.
If I felt that I just really, it was always like, where do I start?
Mm-hmm.
I've done so much. I've thought about this so much, but I've not really put that much thought into how to convey an idea,
mm-hmm.
And there's so much, and there's, what always happened in my case was like, I thought about so many different things that all led to it being this way, but there was no one like grand moment where it all came together. It was just like, here's a good direction. I'm doing this, that, and that, and that. So I didn't really have this exciting narrative.
Mm-hmm.
It was just what it is. And, I'd much prefer to kind of a take it or leave it moment. And I think that that's one of those reasons why some of the people with, some of the more dubious projects could always have a better explanation because it was all about this one thing. It's just like, it's all about this. And then all you have to do is talk excitedly about that one thing.
Yeah.
And it's like a great 5-10 minute thing. So then people are like, great, I can get behind that. But when you don't have like that one thing, but maybe the whole project is overall thoughtful and solid, it's just not, it lacks pizzazz.
It goes back to, the energy that you put into it is the energy that you're going to get out from others. And how eager and enthusiastic you are about your project is going to resonate with your audience, and they could reciprocate with the same kind of energy. You're like, well, you weren't really delivering, and you didn't really do the things that you say you're doing, but the way you say them makes me see where you were trying to go. It makes me see what you wanted to intend, and where you were, attempting to do that here, not so much over there.
Yeah.
And that's one, dude, I loved fucking architectural presentations. Like, I got my kicks off of that shit. Like, the first 200, I didn't really have that figured out. But once Don came around, Mr. Dudley, if you ever listen.
He won't.
Yeah, I know. Thank you. Do you remember that little crit that we had, or review, where it was really kind of informal, probably like a mid-review or whatever, and we had to give our spiel, get the criticism, and then he wanted us to introduce the next person's project that we knew nothing about, but using an accent.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Do you remember who had to do?
No.
You don't?
No.
Okay, I remember mine. very clearly.
Yeah.
So I was doing a pavilion for John Lennon, and the project was all right. It was pretty stony. I smoked a lot of weed and listened to a bunch of Beatles while I was trying to design that building.
I mean, I think that was kind of implied in the methodology.
I should have taken some acid. Yeah, if only.
Right.
Hindsight. Anyway, so I do my spiel. Everything's like, okay, you're making good progress. And I had a girl that was after me that I had to introduce. She wasn't always the strongest designer, and she wasn't always there in studio, you know? So it was kind of hard to critique and talk about something when someone never really put any effort into their work.
Right.
So I just kind of like, all right, John Lennon, British accent, let's go.
Do it now.
Okay, I'll try to think of what it was. All right, so I was just trying to, make these boxes and trying to see if they could interlock and what kind of relationship we could make with one another. These are the plans, I haven't quite figured them all out yet, but I think this box should be in the middle, and then these two should be branching off of it, and that's like the main spaces, and then these are the secondary and tertiary spaces that all interact, and everyone hangs out in the middle one. And now looking over at this section over here, everything's kind of built up and grouped together, but there's this one box that's floating over here, and that's where all the magic happens. And I'm still trying to figure out all my renderings. I mean,
that kind of works.
And my perspectives, but I think it'll be a good pavilion.
That worked for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember afterwards, I don't know what happened, but everyone just gave me that energy, and it was great.
Yeah.
And then she went on to continue her project, and you're like, oh my god, there is no fucking energy or life in this woman.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I don't remember who I did or what happened there. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that was a good studio. I loved my pavilion project.
Yeah.
It's like something I would still build. That's like one of the few projects that I feel like would be actually feasible to build for me, and also really badass.
Nice.
Like there's actually very little. I investigated that and like kind of looked at it and was like, what would I change? And really, I think almost nothing. Like it.
That was one of the only studios where
projects
I feel like I ignored you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because you just started off your relationship, I think, and I don't remember seeing any work from that pavilion of yours until the very end. And I'm
Really?
like, whoa, that's cool, man. Where did that come from? He's like, I've been working on this all semester. I'm like, really? All right, good job, man. That's sick.
I was never a fan of pinning up my work and stuff, I think. That was always a thing for me, not because like, oh, I don't want to, but everybody was like so deep into the computer, which I kind of regret, but at the same time, when the deadline is coming up, do you want to be converting your drawings into, or whatever? Anyway.
I feel like you fought Don a lot. Remember he had us do that hand drawing that he wanted us to do, and you're like, fuck that, I'm just going to scan it and drop it into Illustrator, boom, done.
Yeah.
And then Don ended up like freaking jizzing all over your drawing. This is so great. How'd you do this? Just spent some time in Illustrator and,
yeah.
It was good.
Well, and that's, I don't know, it's just kind of the thing where, when, like, I want to be, especially with someone like Don who's got a lot to teach me.
Yeah.
There's some instances where I'm just like, no, like, I have an idea, I have a vision for it, and that's pretty rare for me. Like, so when I have it, I just do it.
Yeah.
And I don't care about the consequences or who I piss off, which maybe is not a good thing. But, yes, and that was kind of one of those moments, and that was kind of one of those studios where, especially for that project, like, I just felt it, the vibe. And really, that was all due to his setup for it.
His energy.
Sure. Well, and he gave parameters that were strict enough and loose enough. Like there was a client in mind, there was a site in mind, and there was a general program and size, but it was open to interpretation. Like, that's perfect for me, because I have a direction and a purpose, and there's that client and that thing, that spark of inspiration that was lacking in so many other projects in studios, because it's just like you're designing for an artist, and it's like, well, what kind of artist? Or like an astronomer, and it's like, okay, well, that's like an activity, it's one thing. So if I'm not designing like a telescope or like a I don't know what shit. Why am I
telescope?
Not,
yeah, planetarium.
A planetarium or something. Okay. Like if I'm, that's like a specific thing. But if you're designing for a person, like having a personality, so when he gave everybody a famous musician, you could like glean some of their personality from their music and their work, and just do a little research on them. It made it so real and so easy to make decisions and to pick a direction and be confident about it.
Even though you had Mama Cass, you're still able to freaking generate some.
No, it was great because I just picked the tragic parts of her life and turned it into a place for her to escape that and relax, and it was great. It's
perfect.
I loved it, and it matched with the location. I don't know.
I know that was that project. That was a good project, man. Yeah. I don't remember your library at all. Was it pretty massive? Massing?
Yeah, a little bit.
Steve style?
Yeah. I mean, it was... yeah.
I learned a lot from that class, more than just architecture. It taught me how to be, I don't want to say like a leader, but it taught me how to organize people and how to work together, and mostly with that giant site that we had to build.
Yeah, see, that blew up on me because I remember, especially when we were building the model of it and everything like that, like what it really taught me was that everybody else is, if you plan like a timetable for a group,
it's never gonna,
you have to count on it not being followed through to the point. Because like I remember what happened was like, I had other shit to do, I had my son and stuff like that, so like I couldn't be there the night before it was due, and everybody, like they had said that they would get to their part finished, on a certain timetable.
Yeah.
And of course that just kept getting pushed back and back and back and back until it was the day of and people were finally getting their shit together so that I could do my part. And then everybody was pissed off because I couldn't just drop everything and just stay that particular night.
Yeah.
So it didn't really get done. And of course, like I came in super early, like as soon as I could, and tried to work on it. But
and then you got called out.
Yeah, and then I got called out by like a big old bitch because
and she was never there.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you're gonna call me out? You, of all people? And and of course she was one of the ones who caused it to be so delayed anyway. And then she's like, and then you weren't here. And it's like, why didn't you fucking finish it if you're so angry, you bitch? Oh man, that's like one of the people.
Don't
like
worry,
one
dude,
of the,
she's still doing the exact same.
No, I know, but it's like one of the few people that I legitimately do not like. Yeah. And it's all because of that moment.
Yeah.
Like she was nothing to me before that and like nothing after, but it just, it's like, how dare you put this on me? And that actually, that taught me a really valuable lesson about working with groups, is just never, ever take a passive role. Like never say, okay, you do your part, I'll do mine, and whatever. Like you have to break balls.
You have to be a player.
And you have to be, when things start to slip, you immediately have to be like, hey, what are we going to do to fix this? Because then you'll find out. You'll either, you kind of have to like either ride people or whatever, like just, you never let it come down to the part where you're made out to be the problem because you were just last in line.
Yeah. No, I think this is a great conversation to have right now because I am the engine lead for our race car team.
Oh.
So, this is all staying fresh to me right now. And I totally agree, man. I'd hate to be that person where, the engine blew up because this guy over here was drunk or something,
Yeah.
Like you need to be able to delegate, check your work twice, and make sure that everything is according to plan, and when it's not according to plan, to make sure that it's right.
Yeah.
So, lessons learned.
Yeah. But those were good studios. I feel like, a lot of the lessons, though, that I learned didn't really sink in until, like, I learned them, and they were in the back of my head, but I had to, like, get to them on my own.
Yeah.
And I feel like, of course, if I was to, like, do it all over, knowing what I know now, it would be even more of an amazing experience.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. Don, I'd say like Don and like Sam Sterling and those guys like really taught me like so much about just how to do cool stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it was you all along, Steve. You just needed to discover yourself.
What?
They didn't teach you anything. They just taught you how to discover yourself. It was in you the whole time.
No, I don't know. I mean, I think what they did is they taught me more than... Because like a lot of other studios, they're like kind of neither here nor there on any real push. Yep. But those two especially, and a couple others like Genevieve and even like Steve Dent and some of those guys like Kramer a little bit, they all like had kind of this way of...
I think they'd be very passive, and not take it seriously.
Well, yeah, not really. Yeah, I mean, like they took it seriously, but it was just like, don't stress about it. Like just be, I think that they were really good at teaching you how to be creative and kind of pursue an idea. And also not only that, but just to pursue a lot of ideas.
But,
even when you think you have a good one, move on, shelf it for a bit and try some other things because you'll probably find something better. And I think they were really effective, not saying that other professors didn't say things like that, but they were really effective at communicating that and making that sound appealing and feel appealing and kind of showing you how to do that in a way, like almost like teaching you like the culture of it and not the method necessarily. Just like, hey, just go sit outside and take your thing and listen to some music and just draw, just sketch. Do other stuff.
Yeah.
That was the big thing. Like, do other things and think about it or don't think about it. Just, just do what you have to do.
And then the things that you're trying to do that were stressful kind of become easier.
Yeah.
And the stress is gone. Like, that's something that
pressure off yourself.
Yeah, exactly. That I've been discovering. Like, oh man, I got this deadline. I'm going to miss it. This fucking sucks. I don't want to calculate this. Like, God, I'm so stressed out. And you're like, hey, man, like, just, and this is me having my own, internal monologue. Just calm down, all right? If you don't finish this, it's not the end of the world. You're just putting too much pressure on yourself. And you know what? You're doing this because you enjoy it. You're doing this because it's fun to you. And if you're not having fun with it, then why are you doing it?
Yeah.
And then that's right. Like, I'm just putting too much pressure on myself. And then it makes me smile immediately. And it just, just have fun with it. It's not that serious. It's no big deal. The world's going to keep on spinning.
Yeah.
And as soon as I take that mindset, everything just falls into place. Everything comes out correctly. Those equations or whatever thing I'm trying to analyze, oh, I just discovered something interesting in the data. Or, hey, look at that. I didn't expect that to happen. And it just gets a lot more lighthearted.
Yeah.
And it gets more, it's just discovery instead of this work.
Yeah.
And instead of this stress.
And what I like too is they taught kind of a different process, where, instead of beating your head against a brick wall, like take some time off, go on a walk, go, like do other things. And, something will come to you in time or whatever, you need time doing other things or doing nothing, and then something will come to you. And that was completely foreign to me because my thought and kind of just the way I always handled tasks that were difficult was more of like the Henry Ford thing where, any task can be or any difficult task can be done if you break it into small enough sections. So, for me, or something to that effect. He said it better.
Assembly line your process.
Yeah, essentially. I mean, you take, this big problem and you break it into a ton of little problems, and then it becomes an organizational issue and not, an insurmountable problem or whatever. So, my approach was always to get real organized and all that, and it came through in my work a lot of times. But if you take a different path where you're kind of just waiting for a little inspiration from somewhere and you're just diving deeper into, like, I always hated doing site analysis and stuff like that because mostly I hated presenting it, not so much learning, but I really learned how to use that as a tool for discovery and not as an information gathering process. Yeah. And there's a huge difference between information gathering and discovery. Yeah. You know, and because it's that moment where you're just you're tangentially involved in thinking about the project, thinking about all these other things, and it's going to inspire you in some way. That's why, and that whole process just eluded me for so long, and even in their classes.
I remember you
but
fought
now,
it, man. You fought it for a while.
Yeah, because I just didn't understand it, and it really didn't click with me until much, much later.
Well, I think you're hitting on a good point where, you just look at the end or you see the end result that you want to get to, and it just seems so daunting. It seems so overbearing. How will I ever get to put this whole building together? How will I ever fucking design a race car? How will I ever, learn how to put a computer together? These are huge objects that are very overwhelming, But if you think about it, it's not just this giant object. It's this object that's made up of all these parts. How will I ever get a girl to go out on a date with me? Oh man, I need to
force.
Well, you're just contradicting yourself. You force out your architectural ideas, But
my God, I've been doing it wrong this whole time.
But if you break it down to the small steps, then everything just is a lot more easy. It's a lot easier to handle. All right. Well, I'm going to start with drawing a shape.
Right.
And I'm gonna draw this wall here, and I'm gonna orient myself here, and all these small little steps eventually lead to this beautiful manifestation of space.
But then it goes back to that thing that I was talking about, whereas a lot of my projects, they were very linearly thought out like that, broken down. Every decision was made. Nothing was accidental. I made a decision about literally everything. So it's really hard to describe because there's not that one moment, and it lacks pizzazz. It can be really cool, but you need to take that process after you've got that moment. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know how to find that moment because I would always think I got to be working actively towards it, and really you have to kind of take a non-linear path to get to it. It's so Steve, the difference between a path and a highway.
I want to do a test. All right?
Okay.
Just kind of stop thinking for a minute.
I can't.
Just close your eyes, taking a deep breath.
If you put anything near my face, I'm going to be really angry.
Well, only that microphone. Put your hands up on your knees. All right? Now, put your hands together and interlock your fingers. Now, open your eyes and look at your thumbs. Which thumb is on top of which?
My right hand.
So your right thumb is over your left thumb?
Yeah, it always is when I clasp my hands.
Okay. For me, it's always my left thumb is over my right thumb. So...
Are you left-handed?
Nope.
Oh.
So I read this it's called 59-second psychology. So it goes into saying that, people that are very right-minded tend to have their left thumb over their right thumb, and vice versa.
Right. And you're going to have to go through it because, I'm so aware of the left-right brain thing, mm-hmm. but it's one of those things where it's been broken down into such a shorthand that I don't even know what they mean, and I've never really bothered to figure it out, So, I don't know what a left brain or right brain thinker is. Mm-hmm. So, but if you were to say, this person is good at, this or that,
So, I think the understanding or consensus is right brain thinking is more... It's not the more, intuitive part, I think. And the left one is more creative? I'm not sure. Look it up real quick. The 59-second psychology. It's this little YouTube series. It's kind of funny. There's also this other video that talks about, I want you to do something. Just stop what you're thinking about and just smile. Smile as much as you can. And then just relax and be happy. Smile for 30 seconds. Sit up straight. Don't you just feel a little bit happier? Don't you just feel a little bit more positive? And these little simple tricks to change your mood.
Yeah. even just, I'm a big believer in just kind of thinking positively to be positive, because I've always been a very I think other people think it's more negative than it actually is. I'm highly critical.
Not like a pessimist, but
yeah, but it comes off that way because I'm always kind of like intrigued by the things that don't really make sense, and I want to be like, well, why? Yeah. I want to ask those questions, why? And usually people are like, I don't know, I just don't care, and then I'm like, well, why don't you care? So like but it ends up coming off as like a very like pessimistic, or like you are always complaining about something. And it's like, no, I'm always questioning things, but whatever. Anyway,
there's a difference between questioning and complaining. Complaining is like, God, this sucks. Like,
but
I hate this, and everyone's so mean to me. But like questioning is like, well, I find that really peculiar. I find that very odd.
And I think a lot of times though is, I get real fired up about something, and it's like, well, why are we doing it like this? Why can't we do it this other way? And because I'm so animated about it, and I'm really asking like, well, why? I want an answer. Mm-hmm. Because I want an answer, people take it as like a challenge, and like, well, I don't know, like I haven't really thought of it. And I think the instinct is to actually it's not so much that I'm bad for asking the question, but I think a lot of people feel bad for not having asked the question, or even cared about it, or even thought about it one time. And when I lay out this big long thing, it's kind of like, you're just kind of a dick, dude. Like, you're making me feel bad for not giving a shit. You know?
Well, as they should. Like,
I don't know.
I think people get challenged and intimidated if you ask them to, to reveal something about themselves, or do you even ask them what they think about something?
Yeah.
Like you could have gotten offended if I'm like, hey, Steve, what are you afraid of? I'm afraid of.
Yeah, absolutely.
Racist expletive.
But, yeah. Wow.
Anyway, so do you have something against linear thinking?
No, I mean it's something that I think I do naturally. The only thing is that I endeavor to be a more versatile thinker. Mm-hmm. So I want to be able to utilize that when it's appropriate, when it's the most appropriate way to think about a problem. And I want to be able to use nonlinear kind of thinking when it's more appropriate. And I think that they yield different results. And
totally.
And I think that generally linear thinking will take a good idea and get a good result, whereas nonlinear thinking, provides that good idea. So I think it's kind of like two sides of a coin.
All I know is linear equations are a lot easier than nonlinear equations.
Sure. And I think that that's probably true in...
And thinking that way as well, thinking from A to B to C to D is a little bit easier than thinking about A and then purple, and then puppy, and then
right.
And then
it's
Darth Vader.
It's easier and all that, but I think that a lot of times it's hard to get from A to Z without skipping a few, or most of them.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times when people think linearly, they go A, G, Z, and you gotta say, well, no, hold on, let's go back and go through all the steps. And it's just like, people are impatient. So I think that nonlinear thinking lends itself to being impatient. You can you're kind of encouraged to be impatient in nonlinear thinking. Maybe not in the math sense.
When you say nonlinear thinking, I'm associating that with creativity.
Right, me too.
And, free association.
Yeah.
When I say panda, what do you think of?
Bear.
Linear thinking.
Right.
When I say armpit, what do you think?
Hairless.
Linear thinking. When I say Newton, you say...
Atoms.
When I say tomato, you say...
Popcorn.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah, no, but it's... I don't know. I think there's a lot of good things in both, and I think there's a lot of overlap area, but the overlap area to me is really not as useful as the transition, being able to transition between the two and say, okay, well, I need to use this right now, and then I'll use that later.
So, are you making a conscious decision, or is it something that just comes
a little
natural
bit
and it just
well,
flows?
It begins to flow, but at first it had to be kind of a conscious decision.
Yeah.
Now it's just kind of the more I do it, the easier it becomes to just kind of do both, either simultaneously or separate from each other. Or, in this situation, okay, I know, if I have a linear problem, I'm not going to go to the coffee shop and sip a latte while I, surf through journals or whatever, or sketch or something like that. I'm going to go and really put, dimensions to things, and really figure out a problem.
Knows the grindstone.
Yeah, I'm going to define parameters. I'm going to gather everything that I know about it, figure out what I still need to know about it, answer those questions, and then
that's just cranking it out. That's just cranking out your work.
Cranking it out, but I have to be able to define everything first, and usually it's better to have in a creative kind of pursuit, a design problem, you kind of want to not know too much about it, the specifics right away. You want to start very wide, very general, and then kind of dive into, little, and what I've also found is that it's good to not even, you want to kind of figure out all the facets first, and then you want to kind of
what you're describing,
learn about each of those facets, find out where the crossovers are, and you kind of work yourself into a more and more defined area. But each one of those, you kind of provide yourself an area to like take an idea out of it, and then you throw some things together, and you go, yeah, those are appropriate. That one, I like that one a lot, but it doesn't really fit. Maybe if I add it or change it, okay, or I'll just get rid of it, even though I like it. Just being free.
I think you're describing what it means to define the what versus the how.
Right.
Yeah. So.
But they're jamming with you.
Hey yeah, hey yeah, hey
jam.
Yeah.
Hey, we've been going for an hour and 32 minutes.
Wonderful.
I think we'll be able to chop this one up.
Yeah,
kind of well. It changed.
Yeah, but
so that seems like a lot for someone to listen to.
I think we got some good positive thoughts.
I think so.
And maybe some good strategies to try to employ to make yourself an effective worker and a force to be reckoned with while improving your overall mood and handle your breakups lightly and make sure to take your clothes with you.
Seriously. I mean, it's just a mess. You leave them behind, really. Even if it is a nice jacket.
Yeah. I'm glad I was able to get it back.
If only it had your heart inside it as well. Because you're never getting that back.
Fuck. I lost my heart a long time ago.
Oh.
Did you get naked?
It's funny because I can't even tell when it's me pressing the button.
Did you get naked?
Well, that was crazy.
I know. You said we overlapped it, and it was the same tone and everything. It's like my voice or something. It's so weird.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Did you get naked? Did you get naked? I want a butt. Did you get naked, Steve? Did you get naked? Did you get naked? Did you get naked? Did you get naked? I need to try to come up with some more sound bites. Did you get naked?
Yeah, I mean, you just haven't said. I don't know. Whenever I'm editing, I try to listen for anything that's really
like to wet my whistle.
Well, I was talking over the beginning that you just kind of went in, so.
I really like to get my whistle wet.
I think I was still when you start. You start too soon. I feel like the best ones though are the ones that you didn't
sentence and
Yeah, you didn't intend on me cutting out, because then you're just like, what the why?
That's, yeah. I want to butt fuck you.
Yeah, you just keep saying that.
That's kind of like my... I want to butt fuck you.
Nope, that was a different one. That was someone else.
Did you get naked? Did you get naked? Did you get naked? Why don't you edit yourself? Did you get naked?
Because everything I say is flawless. I don't know. Maybe if we set it up where you have something and you can press buttons too, because otherwise, what am I gonna do? Like,
Good one, Steve. Thanks, Steve. That was just wonderful.
Right on. I mean, I think on one I did have a sound bite of me saying something, but it was just, when am I going to push my own button? I can't push my own buttons.
Steve, I'll push your buttons for you.
I'm sure you will.
Breathe.
Do you want to sing us out?
What do you have a request? Is there any songs that you want me to serenade you?
No, just something to close the show. I'll tone. You ready? Go.
Well, my last girlfriend didn't like me. I think she might be most likely a dyke. She just didn't excite me. She was hotter than the sun, but that was all right. My interest for her died quicker than... Goodbye, people.